So I think I'm a little bit of an expert when it comes to this topic because I myself am a chronic overthinker. Like one thing that I'm really good at is overthinking. And I remember one time I was living in Yonkers, New York, and I parked my car in a place that I knew I could park. But New York, you get tickets or your car gets towed or all these crazy things. And I knew I could park there, but my brain, because I couldn't see my car because it was like 3 blocks away, was overthinking. My thought was constantly, man, is my car going to be there when I wake up? Am I going to have to go to the impound lot? Am I going to get a ticket? And think about like how small that is. Like, I'm not saying it's not a difficult task. I'm not saying it's not annoying or not a nuisance, but going to get your car from an impound lot isn't the end of the world. It's not going to change everything. It's not going to be the worst thing you ever have to experience. It's just going to be annoying. It's going to be an extra step. You have to pay money that you didn't want to pay. Maybe if you don't have money, okay, like extra layer of problems. But the reality is that that's not the hugest thing in the world, yet my brain was not letting me sleep. It was making me think about every other situation that my car could be going through, and it didn't matter. It's a small thing. And I remember I was like sitting with this and actually in prayer, and as I'm sitting with this reality, I remember just thinking, so what? Like the biggest answer to overthinking, the biggest way that we solve our overthinking, the way that we are able to just become better is to really, really, really develop this ability to say, so what? Be able to look at the situation itself and know that it doesn't have any power over anything. And I think when we take things into reality, into account, yes, you're still going to overthink, but you're able to address it. And the more you become able to do that, the more you develop the skill set of being able to just realize that this thing should not have power over you, or that you shouldn't be able or shouldn't need to feel like you have to control everything. It gives you the freedom to not let it control you. Let's dive into this. Well, thank you again for diving into this episode. If you're new here, my name is Josh Rosa. I've been a public speaker traveling around the country and speaking to tons of people for years now, and one of my greatest things, one of my greatest joys is being able to do the research for all of us, being able to have the conversation that I have with many more, and just being able to have this reality. And for me, again, I'm a chronic overthinker. This mountain of overthinking is definitely one that I've struggled with myself. And knowing that we don't need to have everything figured out, that we don't need to have control over every single morsel of time in a situation is one of those hardest things that you'll ever come across. But when you do this, everything becomes just easier. Like I think even for friendships or letting go of bad relationships or dealing with family members or all these things that are chronically an issue for a lot of us becomes so much easier when you realize a couple of things that we'll talk about in this episode. But one of the main things is that you don't need to control everything. Not just that you don't need to, is that you physically can't. And I think overthinking comes from the byproduct of being able to have our hand in everything, being able to move the chess pieces as we need them, being able to think and believe that we have something in us. And for a lot of us, that's even thinking that's our intelligence. Overthinking is not intelligence, it's fear. It's fear disguised as this gaze of being able to have a say in everything. We think that if we give something more attention, we'll be able to control the outcome. We think that if we pay more mind to it, if we're more anxious about it, that we're going to have a better outcome in it. And the reality is that for some people, that's going to be your downfall. Like thinking that you need to be invested in everything and controlling in everything and being seen in everything is going to be the reason that you're not winning anything. It's going to be the reason why you don't have the power in your life to change anything, because we are so conscious about everything else that we aren't aware of ourselves. We're not conscious of us. So what do we need? What's actually serving us? What's helping us? What's fruitful in our lives? The root of anxiety, of overthinking is anxiety. The root of all that comes from this need to control. It comes from this foresight that we think we need to have. It comes from this place of not having things the way they want to be, the things that they are, just thinking that we have to have our hand in it all. If we do nothing in this episode, if the next points that we talk about, things we dive into, mean nothing to you, I need you to have this one thing in your mind. You cannot control everything. You won't control everything. And that will make you anxious. But when you realize that that's good, that if you controlled everything in this world, if you controlled every single outcome, that there would be no enjoyment to life, that there would be no fruit and no excitement in anything, that if you controlled everything, you'd be God. If you had that authority, that everything could just happen at the snap of your fingers or that you have every hand, every play that's possible on the table for you. If you had that kind of control, there would be no excitement to anything. There'd be no life. And to be honest, even if there wasn't excitement, you still don't have that power. For a lot of us, our control is the reason that we overthink. Our desire to be good, and this is coming from a good place, right? It's not coming from a negative place. You're not controlling because you're overbearing. You're controlling because you want the best possible outcome. But knowing that you can only do what you can do, you can't force the results. Should be freedom enough to know that your overthinking should not be rooted in controlling the situation. Now, overthinking, again, we're going to talk about all these other things, but overthinking is not just control. For some of us, overthinking is a wound. Like, and our response is that we overthink things because we felt what it felt like before, so we're trying to avoid the pain that we're in or the pain that we've been in. We're trying to avoid that in our current reality. And it's okay to feel like you need to heal and to grow, but if you're constantly staying in the wound, you will never heal from the wound, because an open wound doesn't heal. If you're constantly touching it and opening it, it's going to remain a wound. So in your overthinking and your effort to try to avoid a situation, all you've done is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You guarantee that it existed. You ruined what could have been because you were so busy worrying about what already has been. You've ruined any potential of a future or something growing or something more because you were so preoccupied with your past. And that hurt you because now all you're doing is overthinking the thing you're in now. You're causing this anxiousness to slip into this now. We can't heal from a place that we continue to visit. We can't heal from a wound that we continue to open. Overthinking has never actually fixed anything. If anything, it's made you miss opportunities that you could have had. It's made you not be accessible or available to things that could have been good for you because you've overthought the process. You've overthought the past. You've brought in, again, those wounds from your past into your life now. You've lived there instead of living here. So you missed chances and opportunities to do something amazing. You missed the chances of getting the things that you deserve because you weren't bold. There's an old saying that says that life favors the bold. It favors those that are willing to put themselves in a place to be hurt. It favors those that are willing to do the risky thing, to put themselves in a place to be vulnerable again, to put themselves in a place to receive the thing that they need. But some people overthink this so much that they completely miss on amazing opportunities. There are some people that are never going to have the most joyful them because they have allowed themselves to be miserable for so long that it's just who they are. And they can't equate the two things. They think that this is just a part of them. It's not. No one's ever been called in this life to be miserable. No one's ever been called to be hurt. No one's ever been called to stay in a wound that's already happened to them. But overthinking keeps you in a jail cell of your own mind. And we can't break away from that if we're afraid. The reality is that not being afraid, like fear itself, it's coming from a barriered belief. And the crazy thing is that fear is only barriered in front of you by one step. What I mean by that is that if you're willing to take the first step forward, that fear dissipates. It doesn't, I'm not saying that it completely leaves, but it does create a lot less power over you. Because that fear is only limited, again, by that first step. When you do the first step of the thing that you're afraid to do, when you're overthinking and you're staying behind, that fear has to leave because it no longer has power over you. But a lot of people miss out on amazing things because they're not willing to not care about the thoughts. They're not more preoccupied with the reality, they're more preoccupied with their mind. So they become prisoners in their own mind. Some people call this delusion. There are people who are doing amazing things in this world because they're delusional. So much so that their delusions become realities. Because they're not afraid of their own brain. They're not afraid of their own past. They're not afraid of the things they've gone through. They've healed so much so that they're able to step into this next thing. And the truth is that your brain is trying to do its job. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe, but it's keeping you stuck instead. It's thinking that if it allows you to not be in the situation again, you won't ever feel the things you felt. But at the same time, in that same breath, it's stopping every opportunity for you to move into anything more. Your brain is trying its best. It's not doing it because it wants to hurt you. Like your body's not trying to hurt itself, but it's also keeping you back. There has to come a point where we make this decision to say that my thoughts are important and they're good and they're valid and I should know them and keep them, but I should also not be limited by them. Because sometimes my thoughts are coming from a place of hurt, not from a place of healed. I'm responding from a wound, not from the healing portion of me. I'm not coming back to this place where I've been. I'm not going to allow myself, because I've grown, to be hurt that same way. So I shouldn't be afraid the same way. I shouldn't be anxious the same way. I shouldn't allow my mind to overanalyze and try to prevent pain and rejection and fear. I shouldn't allow it to continue to ruminate on things that are of the past. And this is the big step that a lot of us need to take, that our brain needs to stop having so much authority. It's okay that you want to keep these memories. It's okay that you want to understand and know what you felt. But it's not okay to stay there. It's not okay to allow that thing to become your jail cell, because overthinking is going to be that. It's going to tell you that you're not capable of the things you are fully capable of. It's going to prevent opportunities that you could have had but were too scared to step into them, when you really are worthy of those things, when you really can grow from those things. We need to be able to distinguish between what's real and just what's our brain trying to protect us. And again, as a person that and I say chronically overthinks, I don't think you ever stop overthinking. I don't think that you just magically one day step into everything else. I just think you become braver, so much more braver, that you're over the top. I've shared this analogy, I guess, before about myself, like my social media stuff. One big thing was I had to stop overthinking about people seeing me, about being cringy or people not liking what I'm posting or what I'm saying. I had to realize that none of that mattered, because it mattered more in my mind and in my brain than it did in my reality. That I promise you that no one is looking at you. They will look at you when you're successful, when you're doing well, and you're growing. They probably will have a lot to say, actually, but they will only have that to say when you are comfortable and successful enough to handle it. When you're at that point where that happens. And we see these analogies all the time, that people will support strangers and never their friends, but that's okay, because those are the people you need to reach anyway. If your dreams are outside of the place that you're in, the sphere that you're in, that will only happen when you step out of the sphere. You'll only be able to see those things outside. But again, that step, a lot of people don't take the step. They remain in their fear and their hurt and their wounds because it's easy. It's so easy to ride the river downstream. It's so hard to go against the current. It's harder to step up from this thing that's you've just been floating along, and to choose to go against it. And I also think that it's important to understand that it's okay to not have the same circle of people around you in your future that you did in your past. Sometimes we want to keep the same people around us because we've become so accustomed to them that they've made us comfortable enough to not change, to not grow, to not move. They don't support our growth, but they do support this thing you've been stuck in, this rut you've been in. And those are not people you need. You don't need people that are going to look at you and support the bad versions of you and never help you grow to anything more. They don't fit into this next stage, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you stop loving people, but it just means you understand these things. And I often mention people around us because the biggest influence in your life are going to be the people around you. Lack thereof, or too many thereof, it's going to be the biggest influence there. And if you're not firm in your mindset and who you are, and how you think and how you overthink or how you don't, it's going to be very easy to sway you into the things that you desire. Overthinking is what happens when you don't trust yourself to handle the outcome. For a lot of us, we're afraid to make decisions because we're afraid to be wrong. And I think that the only reason that people fail in life, it's because they've only failed once. Like, they've become comfortable with that one failure being their barrier, saying, well, I tried and that was it. No, you don't trust yourself enough to step into the things that you're capable of stepping into. You don't trust you enough to actually be you, because you've given so much authority to that failure, to that overthinking, to that fear, that it controls everything. And this is like one of those interesting analogies to handle this, to pull this together. Okay, I'm not a horror movie person, and I don't know if anyone listening is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm whatever, neutral. But if you've ever seen like the movies like It or Freddy Krueger or all these, like, I guess demons we'll call them, that thrive in these movies, they thrive off of fear. Like, the thing that gives them power, that brings them back, that brings them into reality, or just brings the lore of who they are into reality, is fear. And they want to spread the fear, because if they spread the fear, they live longer, they become more powerful, all that stuff. Use as an analogy, not saying that these things are real, right? Or I don't know, maybe they are, who knows? But I'm using that to express the reality that fear becomes stronger when we feed it. Like when we vindicate the fear, when we don't do the thing, when we don't take the step, when we don't change, it becomes more powerful and more prevalent in our lives, because we are now giving it this platform to say, but look, you couldn't do it, so you never did anything else. You tell it that it's more powerful than any step that you ever take. Fear is a lie. Fear is one of the greatest lies that we ever believe, because it only grows by us not doing. Like fear grows in our mind and in our hearts when we do not take the step, and we don't trust us, because if we failed one time, we tell ourselves, well, we never want to feel like that again. I never want to feel rejected again. I never want to feel like I wasn't enough. I never want to put myself in a position to be hurt. But I need you to understand that if you are not willing to be vulnerable, you can never be willing to be loved. You can never be willing to succeed. You can never be willing to grow, because you have allowed fear to be so powerful that it's grown exponentially. Freddy Krueger. These things, these analogies, these stories are this lie that fear has power over you, and fear only has as much power as you allow it to. We overthink because it's natural for our brain to want to defend us, but the conversations that we have with ourselves need to be louder than the lies that we hear. Because lies are loud, they have to be vocal, they have to be very big. Peace and truth is simple, it's quiet, it just is. It doesn't need to be boisterous because it exists simply. The lies, they have to be loud because the more you believe them, the longer they stand around. But the less you start believing them, the less authority you give them, the less they are. And you begin to be bold. And again, I'm not saying that they leave, that you're never afraid, that there is no sense of overthinking, because it exists, but you are willing to take the step into the bold that removes everything. That one step that takes everything out of the way. And we only do that by being able to analyze, is this true? Like really sit back to that first point we made. Is this a real thing? Is this really happening? Or am I just allowing my brain to run rampant? And even when the fear doesn't leave, you still do the thing, right? Even before the thought is present, the action takes. Everything else follows after. It takes a moment of you allowing yourself to be that, because it allows you to change everything. Clarity doesn't come before action. It comes after. You're able to see everything significantly clearer when you take that step. When you do that thing that was scary, when you step into the thing that has kept you from being the full version of you. It's harder to live life with regret. It's harder to look back and say, man, I wish I would have tried more, or I wish I would have done the thing I believed in, or stepping into that possibility of who you authentically are. It's easy to just go through the motion. Again, let the current take you instead of going against it. But you will regret everything later on if you've allowed fear to manipulate your actions. If you allow the lack of clarity in your life to rob you of everything more. You keep replaying scenarios that will never happen. This is the most powerful tool that fear has. It replays things in our mind that actually are never there. It makes you use ideas that you've implanted in your brain, or things that have happened around us, to make the storyline of what that potential outcome will be. But the only thing you're guaranteeing is that you never have anything more. You're guaranteeing that you remain stuck in that one place, because again, how you speak to you matters. The things that you believe and you say matter. Your brain will adapt and choose to believe the things that you believe because you've repeated it. Fear will tell you that you can't. It allows you to overthink and everything else, and to create all these scenarios because that's all it's given, a lie. And overthinking feeds our imaginary futures. It doesn't feed our present reality. It doesn't change anything more. It just feeds into this lie of what could be. You are giving power again to that fear, and you're making it bigger. Its authority, its claim in your life is greater. And at some point, we have to make a decision that overthinking is not us. It's the lie that we've allowed ourselves to believe. So the opposite of fear is peace. Like, I'm in a point in my life where I desire peace over anything else, over any relationship, over any other conversation, because I understand that peace means that everything around me, the people around me, my kids, my life, all this stuff will always be fruitful and joyful. It will never come from a point of hate, because what's happening is that when we don't have peace, we allow fear and hate to take its place. And peace is only sustained by what we choose. We can either choose to change, or choose to move, or choose to allow people around us, or to push them away from us. Whatever that choice is, that's the only place that you allow peace to thrive. Allowing yourself to be the most peaceful version of you means that it's the version of you you trust the most. It's the version of you that you're open to growing with. And you lose peace trying to control everything. Like, that's exhausting. Like, just the thought that we want to control every action, everything that's happening around us. There is no way that in this world that you will have peace if you think you need to control everything. Like if you think that everything has to come by your hand and by your byproduct. Sometimes life is life. Things happen and things move along, but it's not your job to change them. You can only change the things that are tangible, the things in front of you, things that you're not afraid to step into. Fine. You're making some effort to change those things. But if the outcome isn't what you anticipated, but you did all the work and you made the effort, is it still enough? Like for some of us, the reason we overthink and the reason we're afraid is because we think it needs to look a specific way. And if it doesn't look that way, then it was wrong. Or if it's not in our specific timeline, it's wrong. A lot of us have been married so much to our timeline that it's created this anxiety in us. We have destination anxiety. We think that the only way we'll be joyful and purposeful and fruitful is when something happens. And again, shameless plug, my book, The When Theory, which I don't think is a thing, so I hope it's not, but I'm making it up myself. We have created a timeline in our lives that when XYZ happens, that's when I'll feel happy or purposeful or good, or when I make this partner in a particular thing, or when I'm hired, or when I'm married, or when I have kids, or when I travel. So much so that when that thing actually happens, you're not even happy. Because you haven't allowed yourself to live life. You've just anticipated a particular place. So every time you've hit that goal, you actually move the goalpost. So you've never fully lived in something. What if none of that happens? Like, what if you never get married? What if you never have kids? What if your kids are never happy or never grow? What if you aren't a good parent? What if you aren't a successful business partner? What if these things don't happen in the way that you've pictured it? I'm not saying go and be like a bad person and just like, punch puppies or something, but I am saying that there has to be a reality check that sometimes the way we paint things are not how things are. We can paint an image how we want them to be. And the timeline, we could say that XYZ has to happen by this date. And if it doesn't happen, it's not good. We could do all of these things, and none of those things might come to fruition when we saw them. And none of those things might even come to fruition in our lives. The reason a lot of people are anxious and overthinking, it's because they think that they're missing out on something. You're not. I'm not saying that these are bad things to want, because they're great things to want. Especially when you want to produce more for someone else and love more and care more. And those are all amazing and great things. But you cannot get married to the idea while you're living in this purpose. You cannot get married to what you want, the idea that you have printed in your brain when you were called for something else. I believe that anxiousness only comes when we think that we're out of purpose and we act out of our own purpose. Like when we think that we have to look like something else or be somewhere else and we can't enjoy what we're in now. Again, life is short, it's fleeting. You don't have a lot of time in this world left. But if you don't make purpose for the time you have now, you will never enjoy it. You'll never actually sit in what you're going through, never actually enjoy the little good things that are there, because we're so focused on the future that the current isn't even fun. Of course you're anxious. Of course you're overthinking. Of course this mountain of your overthinking is killing you because you're so focused on next week that you can't enjoy today. You're so focused. And again, I'm not saying don't plan and don't execute and don't hope, but I am saying that you can't worry so much about then that now becomes terrible. And it's not just now, it's tomorrow's going to be terrible too. And the day after is going to be terrible. You know what? Then is also going to be terrible because you were so focused for so long on everything else that you didn't allow yourself the freedom, the peace, and the grace to enjoy here. Plan accordingly, hope accordingly, work accordingly. But don't live there and not live here. Anxiousness is just living out of purpose in another place. Your purpose is here, right now, where what you are tangibly, physically possible to control. What's here, what's in this moment. That's what you have to worry about. Everything else and everyone else, again, will happen, and it's a good thing that you care and that you're anticipating it, but you will never find those things there. I think a lot of us don't surrender our now. So we can't live in peace, because peace is only found in surrender. It's found in knowing that you can't control everything. And it's exhausting, again, to think that you have to. It's tedious and tiresome. And then finally, some decisions you're going to have to make that are going to hurt you. There's a saying that some decisions will break your heart but align your vision. They will hurt you to choose to no longer have connections with certain people. It will hurt you to choose to do what's going to be right for you because what you've been doing has been killing you. It hurts you to choose everything else around you and not choose yourself. It's going to hurt for longer because you didn't choose you over those things. And I'm not saying be selfish, but I am saying be careful. because we will continue to live in the things that hurt us, that make us anxious, that gives anxiousness, and overthink everything because it doesn't align with the purpose that we're in now. You hear this often, and I think people say it till they're blue in the face. But the only person that you have in this world fully is you. You can't even love anyone else fully until you understand and love yourself. You might think that your selflessness is what's loving them. You might think that if you give them more of something, that's loving them, that you think pouring into them, that's loving them, but you can't. It's like the analogy, like if a plane is going down, they always say to make sure that you put a mask over yourself first, so then you could do that for someone else. If you're in a boat, right, you have to put your life preserver on you before you can do anything for anyone else. Why? Because you are burning yourself out, thinking that if you do more for other people, that they're going to be happy, but you're not happy, but you're anxious, but you're overthinking, but fear has a stronghold over your life. But these things have been perpetuated over you consistently over and over again. You cannot expect to do anything for anyone else if you can't breathe, if you're not actually happy with you. Sometimes we have to choose us first so that we can choose everyone else with us. But nothing is going to change, nothing's going to heal in that same boat, in that same breath. That mountain of overthinking is a chronic one. And I think, again, it's not something that just miraculously leaves tomorrow. You're not just going to sit here and feel like that's it, that the overthinking is gone. But at some point, we have to start making a decision that we no longer want to repeat things. That we don't want to sit here and feel anxious and think about our car. Where was it parked? Is it going to get towed or not? And sit here and then just have to perpetuate that in our lives. We have authority over ourselves more than we know, because fear doesn't want you to understand this. It doesn't want you to believe that you have authority. It wants you to think that you're under the gaze of everything else, that those things can manipulate and control you, but you have so much authority over you. What you say, what you do, how you think, how you act, how you react, all these things are a byproduct of you. And the only way that anything will change your life is by reclaiming that authority. Is by knowing that despite the messes that I've been in or the things that I've done, that I have that power and that I will always have that power. So I just invite you into this season of overthinking, like this current stage of overthinking that we're in. Is it rooted in anything real? And it might be that you've gone through something and you're just trying to avoid those things, but are you avoiding life by trying to avoid that? Like, are you so focused on something that's been said or done by someone else that you're avoiding everything else that's possibly good for you? You can't allow the things that have been said or done to you to dictate the things you say or do in the future. Your anxiousness cannot continue to stop you from actually moving. And overthinking is only overanalyzing things that might not even exist yet, and not allowing yourself to actually live in the things that you're actually in right now, not allowing yourself to grow through this particular season. You deserve the freedom that comes with not overthinking. With maybe you'll overthink, but choosing the decision to not live in that. So thank you again for being on this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.